Hello, my incandescent children. Today we are reading Teal's Diary, a short story by TheWirelessBlade. 12/16/2059, Saturday. Dear Diary, last year I pretty much ended the world. Oops. It all started when my dad and mom took me to the museum that my dad worked at. No, I'm not going, I told my parents, rolling over in my bed. Yes, you are, my mom told me. I didn't reply. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to do anything that involved my parents. All I wanted to do was stay in bed. That's it. Really. That's all I wanted to do. If you don't get out right now, I will take away your phone. I scoffed. You never do. I shot back, scrolling through some app on my phone. I wasn't even doing anything with it. That 1 week, 2, 3, a month. It went on like that until she hit 3 months. Then she said, Now how long should I ground you? I was done at that point. Okay, I'm up. Losing my phone was one thing. Being grounded was another. Somehow, some way, my mom must have gotten my phone, because 2 hours later, I didn't have it. Where's my phone? I demanded. Your father has it, my mom told me. I groaned. What was I going to do now? The trip there was boring. The entire museum was boring. Did I really rely on my phone that much? But anyways, halfway through the museum, my dad had pointed out stuff, trying to get me to do something besides nothing. Dad put a hand on my shoulder. Hey, Teal, look at that. I grunted and pushed his hand off, then muttered something about my parents being stupid. My dad clearly had 20/20 hearing, as he suddenly grabbed me by the shoulder, turned me around, got down so we looked eye to eye, and gave me the respect speech. My parents did this at least once a week, telling me I never showed them any respect, stuff like that. I spaced it all out. I didn't care. Halfway through his speech, I interrupted him. Dad, I'm not a kindergartner anymore. Stop treating me like one. With that, I stormed off. My dad pursued me, but I beat him to a different tour group and got lost in there. Normally, I don't like being with strangers in general, but today was different. 5 minutes later, someone asked, Was that your dad? It was a girl roughly my age, and every inch of her screamed rebellious. Her hair was dyed a hot pink. She wore single-handed the most stupid outfit ever. I don't even care to describe it, but I'll never understand how anyone could sell that thing legally. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but the point is, it looked awful, as did the rest of her. She pulled out a cigarette, where'd she get that? And lit it. You need to show your daddy that you are in control of you. You're probably thinking, who in their right mind would listen to her? Not me. Nope. I stepped out of the crowd. Then it hit me. What if she was right? What if the only reason my parents didn't respect me was because I wasn't showing them that they weren't in control of me? There was only one way to find out. I ran over to the nearest door that said employees only, and walked right in. This door opened to a room with a small metal ball in it. It was a simple ball with only one red button on top. I walked over to the ball and looked it over. My dad came bursting in. Teal, I need to step away from the bomb. It may be active. No, I replied. Teal, I don't care if you think you're being a rebel or not. That bomb is dangerous. Get here, now. No, I shot back. I held my hand over the button. I'm my own person. You don't control me. With that, I slammed the button. The button clicked, but nothing happened. After an awkward silence, the ball slowly rolled off its stand and clanged to the floor. My dad was furious. Teal Audrey Burns, you are grounded for 3 months. He grabbed my arm and began to pull me away. I tried to resist and fight back, but it was no use. A loud beep startled everyone. The bomb suddenly shot up, destroying everything that got in its way. Then came the bang, followed by a bright flash of light. Hours later, my sight recovered. The city I'd lived in my entire life was gone. Everyone I knew and loved, gone. My whole world, gone. Right. So, the Wireless Blade said this is a short story written for a contest, which was written with the purpose of putting a moral theme into it. So, that's what we're going to be focusing on. But first, opening paragraph stuff, because that's just the most fun. So you say, when they took me to the museum. It all started when my mom and dad took me to the museum my dad worked at. Dad and mom, sorry. It seems like the trouble started beforehand, before they ever did go to the museum. Especially if we're looking at a thematic short story. The issue seems to start when Teal doesn't want to get out of bed. All I wanted to do was stay in bed. That's it, really. That's all I wanted to do. You have 3 different instances of the repetition of this after. That's it, really, all I wanted to do. You are telling us this is very important. This is the theme. Focus on this. But that doesn't really seem to be what the theme of the story is. That doesn't really... we're not focusing on that. I guess we could put focus on this part of it. I didn't want to do anything that involved my parents because it seems like obey your parents and respect them is the theme of the story. My first thought reading through it was like Adam and Eve, fall of man, like you do specifically a thing and it causes the end of the world. The whole city is gone, everybody you know and love gone, my whole world gone. And you got the whatever that girl there, her hair was dyed hot pink, etc. I kind of felt you were setting that up to be like the serpent, but that doesn't really seem to be what we're looking at. I think it is a like honor your father and mother so you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. You don't get to live long in the land because the whole world dies because you didn't respect your parents. So I'm assuming that is the theme. If I'm wrong, absolutely correct me. I feel like you're putting maybe too much emphasis on this line. All I want to do is stay in bed if that is the case. You're emphasizing it, drawing attention to it, but you're never giving a reason unless that involved my parents was the reason for it, which I don't think works incredibly well. This is absolutely vital. I am trying to stay away from like mechanical comments on these because I figure if a $5 editor from, I don't know, Fiverr can fix a problem, I don't really need to comment on it. But this is a fundamental thing. You're just not formatting your paragraphs properly. You need to have one speaker or actor per paragraph, otherwise it's just super confusing. If you don't get out right now, I will take away your phone. That is clearly, and combined with your not properly punctuating your sentences in the paragraphs, just super confusing. Like right here, this is clearly one of Teal's parents, Teal's mom talking. Combined your two issues, paragraphing and punctuating, this looks like it is Teal talking. You need right here to have this be one whole paragraph. You need to format over, I scoffed. You never do. You need to not put a full stop right here in the situation. You need to use either a comma or an exclamation point. You really should use commas. Try to stay away from exclamation points in general. So we're going to put that there. You never do, I shot back, scrolling through some app on my phone. I wasn't even doing anything with it. And then I believe it is Teal's parent who's talking next, so we format that over. That 1 week, 2, 3, a month. It went long like that till she hit 3 months. Then she said, now how long should I ground you? Then we want a new paragraph because a new person is doing a thing. Teal is now in the spotlight. I was done at that point. Okay, I'm up. Losing my phone was one thing, being grounded was another. So you see, this is it. This all right here becomes far more clear understanding who is doing a thing, who is talking. Just so much easier to read than a big lump of everybody doing everything at once. I see this more commonly in people who come to writing from watching a lot of movies rather than reading a lot of books. Not a knock on you, WirelessBlade. I don't even know if this is the case, but no shame in starting from a point. You just got to work from that point. Things like this, especially if you're entering for a contest, you might be disqualified immediately just for failing to have fulfilled basic formatting things like this. So this could have been the best, most thematic Aesop-y level fable in the world, but if your paragraph's like this, you would find yourself just not being taken seriously by the people to whom you are submitting. I felt like the phone thing was focused on heavily really early on, and like I was scrolling through some app on my phone, I wasn't even doing anything with it. And then, did I really rely on my phone that much? It seems, going into it knowing you were asking about theme, I was thinking, is the theme of phones are bad, or that youngins today spend so much time on their phones? That didn't really end up being anything. Maybe think about drawing less attention to that if that's not really what you're focusing on. I had a really hard time sensing the progression of time in the story. I would suggest blocking things out into scenes, even in such a short story, making sure we have a good sense of place and transition from one place to another and one time to another. The trip there was boring. These two sentences here, the trip there was boring, the entire museum was boring. This initially sounded to me like Teal was just thinking back on the museum where Teal had gone before. Like, oh yeah, I hate going on this trip. The trip is boring, the museum's boring. But this is your entire description of how they get to the museum. This is set in the future, in 2059, and I don't really know why. Aside from the bomb at the end, there isn't anything really making this a future-y sort of story, so a few lines of describing the trip and maybe the outside of the museum, if you could finagle that into some kind of subtext or thematic support for what you're trying to do, that would be beneficial. There's just not a lot of description of stuff in general. Like, halfway through the museum is a super vague way to describe the progression of time and space and pointed out stuff. Again, we're in a museum in the future. There's probably lots of super cool things that I, as a non-future-y person, would love to know about the future, and it's just all glossed over. I am wondering how much of this was a matter of how much space you were allowed by the contest. For a short story, this is incredibly short, like a quarter of the length of many short stories I have read in publicly available contests online. Like, as with anything, there's going to be huge differences in story length, but I've seen some very famous short stories that are just a few dozen words long or just a few words long. Generally, you're not going to see something this short and also this unfocused called a short story. Flash fiction, I believe, is generally what something of this length would be called. So if you have more space to work with, you want to use every word you can. You can cram a lot of really valuable language into even a super short story. I could see shortcuts being taken if you only had, like, I don't know, 800 words to work with, but I'm guessing that wasn't the case. The girl here, the girl with the hot pink hair, who is an example of rebellion. So she is telling Teal, you need to show your daddy that you are in control of you. And I guess Teal is just so rebellious that Teal doesn't even listen when someone tells them to be rebellious and then decides to listen anyway. I don't terribly know how to put this. Is there a reason why this girl is here? Teal seems like the kind of person who would go and do this thing. Teal starts out the story determined to disobey their parents and to dishonor them, whatever. Is this girl needed here? She's not really challenging Teal to do anything different than they were already planning on doing. Some believability things, like why would a bomb be just kind of in a closet that says employees only, that doesn't have a lock or a guard or anything, or a display case? I need you to step away from the bomb, it may be active. Wouldn't that be something you'd be incredibly sure of? Either you have an active bomb that could destroy the whole world, or you don't. And then Teal slams the button. And Teal's dad's just like, okay, I guess I'm going to ground my child. And then the bomb goes off and shoots up, destroying everything that got in its way. Why is Teal left alive? Was it some kind of crazy weapon that only leaves the person who activated it? I don't know. This whole thing with the bomb was confusing. And so, all that said, I do believe the theme of the story was honor your parents, or everything you love will be destroyed, and then you will be writing a diary after the world is destroyed because you're the only one left, and you have nothing better to do with your time than write a diary, potentially without your phone. Yes, I hope this was in some way helpful, WirelessBlade. If you are watching this, please drop a comment down below if I have just completely missed the mark with the theme, or if you have any bits of constructive and helpful criticism for the Wireless Blade. Our goal here is to help people write the best stories that they can. If you have something to add that will legitimately help, please drop that down below. If you have a story of your own that you would like constructive criticism on, I will have an address in the description of this video telling you where you can go to see the submission rules. And beyond that, if you could just hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, you would just make my day. Thank you very much.